on a cold night at the end of April. A Venezuelan military convoy discreetly traveled the 160 kilometers from the Venezuelan Institute of Scientific Research on the outskirts of Caracas to the port of Puerto Cabello in the state of Carabobo. With unmarked and marked escort vehicles, they accompanied a special container. Inside it, there were about 13.5 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, with a concentration of more than 20% of uranium-235. The material was on its way to the United States. The operation remained absolutely secret for a few days. Only in May did the authorities involved confirm that it had happened, spreading the news around the world. It was the coordinated removal of all the remaining nuclear fuel from a research reactor that had been decommissioned for decades. And Aria Militar managed to find out from sources everything that happened. The governments of Venezuela, the United States, and the United Kingdom, as well as the International Atomic Energy Agency, took part in the planning, which was not put together recently, but lasted for years, still during Nicolás Maduro's dictatorship, but gained momentum and was carried out in weeks after the United States invaded to capture the dictator. The uranium in question was not the product of any recent enrichment program in Venezuela. It had been supplied decades earlier in the context of the Atoms for Peace program launched by American President Dwight Eisenhower in the 1950s.
150.
In a speech at the UN General Assembly back in December 1953, Eisenhower advocated for the peaceful use of nuclear energy, and he proposed international mechanisms to share technology and materials with developing countries, as long as they were committed to non-military purposes, a process that also involved Iran. At the time, Venezuela acquired the RV-1 reactor with a capacity of 3 megawatts from an American company. The equipment was inaugurated on November 22, 1952, at the Venezuelan Institute for Scientific Research, and it became the first nuclear reactor in Latin America. During its years of operation, it used fuel supplied by the United States and the United Kingdom. The reactor operated as a research facility until 1991, when it was partially decommissioned. The final shutdown only occurred in 1997. Part of the fuel was removed at the time, while the rest remained stored under custody. Later, the site was converted for the sterilization of medical materials using gamma rays. The Venezuelan authorities then requested the removal of the remaining fuel in 2017. The United Kingdom joined the planning in 2018 at the request of the international agency. The technical and diplomatic process was progressing gradually, with a focus on strict safety and verification measures. The material, classified as highly enriched uranium because it is above the 20% threshold, required special transport protocols and protection against proliferation risks. But Venezuela did not start an enrichment program to reach 20%. On the contrary, Venezuela received this material already enriched to 20% from the United States, because at the time, that was the level needed for the research reactor to function properly, especially those of American origin. Everything changed on January 13th of this year. An American military operation captured the then dictator Nicolás Maduro. The operation, carried out with precision and involving special forces, had a direct impact in the vicinity of the Venezuelan Institute of Aeronautical Research. Official Venezuelan sources reported that the operation came within about 50 meters of the old reactor. In a statement on May 7th, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ivan Gil, stated that the military action objectively increased the level of risk, and he confirmed the urgency of completing the removal of the uranium that the country had been requesting for years. After that, the secret operation accelerated and began.
O ritmo acelerado.
In early April, technical teams from the U.S. National Nuclear Security Administration, Venezuelan specialists, observers from the UN International Agency, and specialized British logistical support began the final preparations. The international agency provided training, supervised nuclear safeguards, and carried out technical inspections. The United Kingdom, through its sector, Core Transport Solutions, provided a specialized ship for safe maritime transport. At the end of April, the land convoy departed from the Institute. The uranium was packed in a container designed for spent nuclear fuel with multiple layers of protection. The military escort ensured the journey to the port of Puerto Cabello. At the port, the container was transferred to the British ship. The crossing went smoothly, and the material arrived in the United States at the beginning of May and was sent to the Savannah River riverside in South Carolina. The Department of Energy team soon took custody for further processing at the facility, Ade Canyon, with the goal of converting the material into high-assay, low-enriched uranium for advanced civilian uses. The U.S. administration described the operation as part of a broader global effort. So far, the agency has already removed or confirmed the elimination of more than 7,340 kilograms of weapon-usable nuclear material worldwide, with emphasis on the removal of nuclear materials from Kazakhstan in the 1990s. The U.S. State Department described the result as an important milestone in nuclear security, achieved more than 2 years ahead of the original schedule. Non-proliferation experts analyzed the technical significance of the removed material. Jack Creelford, a researcher at the Royal United Services Institute, explained that the 13.5 kilograms of enriched uranium were just over 20%. Although they do not reach the weapons-grade level of 90%, could, in theory, be further refined to produce enough fissile material for a small nuclear weapon. The proactive removal eliminates the possibility that this additional legacy material could fall into the hands of non-state actors or governments interested in developing military nuclear capabilities. The operation reveals important aspects of nuclear material management in scenarios of political transition and regional instability. Research reactors, built in the 1960s under peaceful cooperation programs, generated fuel stocks that, decades later, require careful removal when security conditions change. Joint planning between countries undergoing transition and disagreements demonstrates the technical priority given to containment, instability, bloodshed, and proliferation. Regardless of the context, it shows the technical priority given to risk containment and proliferation, regardless of the political context. Immediate. The proximity of the operation to capture Nicolas Maduro to the uranium storage site illustrates how military events can accelerate nuclear security decisions. What was once a gradual process became urgent when local stability was shaken. Venezuelan cooperation, UN agency oversight, and American and British logistical capability allowed the transfer to take place in a controlled manner, without public exposure. During the execution, which resulted from the successful secret extraction operation. For the region, the operation eliminates a potential point of vulnerability in South America. Nuclear legacies from peaceful programs during the Cold War years continue to require constant attention, especially in countries that have undergone abrupt political changes. If you've followed along so far and want more analysis and detailed documentaries about military operations, nuclear security, and recent strategic developments, leave your comment below with your opinion about the removal of this material and its possible long-term impacts. Turn on notifications to receive upcoming videos with the same level of depth, and I ask for your even stronger support. Donate any amount to our Pix key.
Doe qualquer valor para nossa chave Pix canal areamilitaroff@gmail.com.